Hello and welcome to Daily Politics, reaching you from Trust TV here in Abuja. I am Suleiman. Today we are discussing the internal crisis across the state chapters of the APC. Last month, 16 of the 24 members of the Plateau State House of Assembly impeached the Speaker, Honorable Abok Nuhu Ayuba. Ayuba was a 33-year-old undergraduate in 2019 when he was elected to the Plateau State House of Assembly to represent just East constituency. He was then elected Speaker in a surprise move by the Plateau State Assembly. His election was then hailed as a big win for youths in politics in the country. But he has now been replaced by a new Speaker, Honorable Yakubu Sanda. Also in Gombe State, there is an open tussle between former Governor Danjuma Goje and many of his long-standing allies in the state, including, of course, the governor of the state, Yahaya Inuwa. Of course, both the governor and the senator deny any rift between them. But just last week, Senator Goje's daughter resigned her position as a commissioner in Inuwa's cabinet. So observers are concerned that the crisis in the party will distract governance and provision of democracy dividends to the people. And then again in July, the Imo State House of Assembly suspended 6 lawmakers for alleged unparliamentary conduct. The Speaker, Paul Emeziem, who announced the suspension at the plenary, said the decision was taken at the executive session, but last week, Paul himself was impeached and replaced with another Speaker, this time around Honorable Kennedy Ibe. Kennedy Ibe is now the 3rd Speaker of the Imo State House of Assembly since June 2019. So that means we have 3 speakers in 2 years. There are similar problems in Kwara, in Kano, and many other APC-led states. So where does all of this leave the ruling party, particularly as it prepares for the National Convention next month? With me to discuss these issues are Mr. Jide Ojo, a columnist and public affairs commentator. My second guest is, of course, the Jagaban of Jamaica and contender for APC national chairman next month. He is, of course, a former chairman of the ACN, Abuja FCT chapter. He is Mr. Sonny Monidafe. But before we go into the discussion proper, we take a minute to bring you a roundup of politics in the news. Please stay tuned.
The Independent National Electoral Commission on Friday presented the certificate of return to Professor Chukwuma Soludo for winning the Anambra State governorship election, which was held on Saturday, November 6. The presentation took place in Awka, the Anambra State capital, with his deputy also present at the event. Soludo is the candidate of All Progressives Grand Alliance, which is currently ruling the state with Governor Willie Obiano. He won 19 of the 21 local government areas, including Iyala local government area, which had its own election on Tuesday. The appeal tribunal hearing cases on the Lagos local government election has declared the People's Democratic Party PDP councillorship candidate for Oriade Ward A, Kirikiri, Oriade Local Council Development Area, Mustafa Olariwaju, as winner of the election in the ward. The tribunal also ordered the All Progressives Congress APC candidate Onyahasi Omomalabake to cease parading herself as councillor for the ward. The chairman of the 5-man appeal tribunal, Justice Morenike Obadina, in a judgment delivered at the Central Business District Alausai Keja, ordered the Lagos State Independent Electoral Commission to issue a certificate of return to Olariwaju. In compliance with the tribunal's directives, the Lagos State Independent Electoral Commission chairman, Justice Ayotunde Phillips, issued a certificate of return to the PDP candidate. And on a sad note, the police high command on Friday said that the missing Vanguard newspaper reporter Henry Salem Todwa was killed by a hit-and-run driver at the Mabushi Highway in Abuja, the Federal Capital Territory. The suspect, a 29-year-old commercial driver Itoro Clement, was paraded on Friday in Abuja. Parading the driver, the force public relations officer Frank Gomba said the Inspector General of Police Intelligence Response Team, headed by Olatunji Tisu, finally traced the corpse of the reporter to the morgue of the Worcester General Hospital and was identified by the family. Speaking on the incident, the driver told journalists that he ran away from the scene on the day of the incident as he had earlier been attacked by armed robbers on the same spot.
Welcome back. This is Daily Politics, and now let's get to the discussion proper. Thank you and welcome, gentlemen. Thank you. This is an APC issue, which is why it was important for us to get someone within the party, and we're so lucky to get a big fish, someone who might in fact become the APC's next chairman. So we begin with you. You have in Imo State 3 speakers of the House in 2 short years. How does that happen, and what does that say for a ruling party?
Good afternoon, Nigerians. With due respect, I think you got the wrong big fish, because I'm trying to come in as a national chairman. It's not be right for me to start appraising or criticizing who are there. Definitely will misinterpret.
But these will be issues that you'll be dealing with.
I'll be dealing with it by God's grace, and by the grace of God, we will not have such things. One thing I want to ensure that we solve instantly when we get there is this crisis. For example, we had no business allowing the crisis in Rivers State, for example, Kwara State, Osun State, and the rest to get to congresses. This will have been resolved before we got there. And by God's grace, I am in the national headquarters. We will resolve the crisis.
But what the viewers would want to know, not necessarily what you do when that time comes, but what are the issues? As an insider, what are the issues? What are the causes of this kind of crisis?
Definitely, people just don't want to believe that God is there for them. Nigerians pray a lot. But after praying, we tell people to stay aside, want to help ourselves. Now, the kind of person I've been since my ACN days, even before then, I was ward delegate in SDP 1990. I contested for the House of Reps, Yola North, Yola South, Gire, under the UNCP, 1998.
Thank you. Let me...
I did not allow such to just believe in God. Don't want to force your desires on people. Follow democracy. Think about the country first. That is lacking, I think. But I won't say much because I'm coming in and I don't want to be seen to be criticizing people who are there before I come in.
Okay. Mr. Jide Ojo, you're a pro-democracy activist. Talk about democracy, trying to promote democracy in the country. What does it mean when a state like Imo has, replaces its speakers 3 times in 2 years? What does that say for democracy? 20 years after return to democracy in Nigeria.
Well, Sulaiman, for me, it shows the lack of maturity in our political adventure. 22 years down the line, we shouldn't be experiencing this kind of thing, but I see it in different lights. The instability in many of the State House of Assembly is born out of different factors. Primarily, there is the issue of autonomy of State House of Assembly, which some state governors have graciously agreed to after a prolonged and protracted war with the Governors Forum. You recall that the Constitution was amended in 2018 to give autonomy to state houses of assembly as well as state judiciary. Now, with this Parliamentary Staff Association of Nigeria, PASAN, as well as JUSON, that's Judiciary Workers, they went on about 3-4 month strike early this year to PRESO. That's after the executive order 10 that the president signed in last year, and then that brouhaha with the state governors. Now, some governors have agreed to grant financial autonomy, and that has become banana peel for some of the assembly, because now they see money. They are now going to be controlling their own resources. So And you know, what does it take to impeach a speaker? Just say gross misconduct. Even if you cannot prove that gross misconduct, it's something that all you need is two-thirds. And take, for instance, the issue in Plateau State House of Assembly.
Yes.
It was alleged that only 8 out of 24 actually removed No Ayuba. That's the former speaker. And why should they conduct the business of the House at 6 a.m.? What is at stake? Why they using the cover of darkness to impeach a speaker if they have? And did they give these speakers that are removed fair hearing? Were they queried? Of course, who will query a speaker, a sitting speaker? So we are gradually turning.
Maybe the process does not allow for enough accountability of speakers. So
no, it is because you are there at the pleasure of the governor.
Okay.
And I know a bit of what happened in Plateau State House of Assembly. The young man had been.
I think we don't want to jump the gun. We'll be coming to Plateau State House of Assembly. We want to look at the general issues first. So, sir, what are the issues? Why do we not have political maturity that he has talked about? Is it the rules, or is it the politicians, or is it the game, or is it the rules of the game, or the players of the game?
For me, I think it's the players. And then what happens in Nigeria is very unfortunate. I've seen it in so many places. Now I'm being cautious because I don't want to say things in public. I have my feelings, I have my information about what's happening, and I think I have the solution. But basically what is behind the whole thing, not only in Plateau, all over the country, is that there's this godfatherism syndrome.
Okay.
In Nigeria, I think one of the countries in the world, if not the only country, where somebody goes to bed as a pauper and wakes up a multimillionaire, goes to bed a nobody, wakes up the next morning, is a member of assembly or speaker or House of Reps or even governor, because people are pushing them and they're not ready. They're not ready. They suddenly wake up and they have this responsibility. It's like building, if the engineers will excuse my use of their language, building a 5-story building on a foundation that was meant to just receive only a bungalow. You now build 5 stories, it will crash. People who are in positions don't know what it takes, did not really prepare for it. That's the major problem, which is what I want to solve as an individual by coming out. Because you must be prepared, you must know what the office entails, you must tell people what you want to bring. For 17 months, I've been going around telling people, I have a 5-point agenda stating what I will do. I have this plan in place to educate party members that they don't have to be subservient to anybody. Belong to the party belongs to you. We'll move on. If you have such people, nobody will control them.
Belong to the party belongs to you. That's high sounding in Nigerian context, where, like he said, godfatherism, money, and many other issues influence people's political convictions, and of course their political behavior as well. But let's look at the situation with Plateau State in particular, beginning with the fact that a young person, a 33-year-old person, was elected as speaker. What did that mean, and what does it mean now that he's no longer a speaker for the millions of young people out there?
Well, the Plateau State situation is very tragic, but one thing we must know, even though this whole discussion is not about state houses of assembly, one thing we must know is that one of the most unsettled positions you can hold in Nigeria today, political office position, elective, let me qualify it elective, because you can also be summarily removed as a minister or as a commissioner. But elective position you can easily lose today is speaker, deputy speaker, and deputy governor.
Okay.
Those 3 positions are very fluid. You serve at the pleasure of your governor. The moment you have an altercation or a frosty relationship with your governor, you are a goner. Your days are numbered, let me put it that way. So what happens is that we like Jagaban said, godfatherism. So when you take it outside of state assembly, like whether you are talking Plateau, or you are talking Imo, or you are talking any, I mean, you ask whether what does Ayuba's removal mean for the youth of Nigeria? It's not the only young speaker we have. Oyo State Speaker doing Ogundoyin is also very young. I think it's just about a few months older than him. Okay. 30. He's not even married. Okay. Doing is maybe he's just got married. I knew he had he did this introduction early this year. So we also have one from a very young speaker from which is this Zamfara or Jigawa? So there are about 4 of them that was groomed under the Yaga Africans, not too young to run.
Yes,
so they were that platform was given to them. Capacities were built, and they were pushed to go contest among their. And imagine a speaker in State House of Assembly is about zoning.
Yes.
It's not even about your qualification or whether you are very sound. If the governor is from a senatorial district, the deputy governor is from another senatorial district, the speaker, which is the third, will be from another senatorial district. So it will be a contention among those who are from that senatorial district. So the instability in the State Houses of Assembly has been there even before the issue of financial autonomy. And that's why we call them very pliable. They are so much of a rubber stamp assembly, because any speaker that does to be independent-minded is cutting the wrath of their governor. So that is one key factor. But when we take the crisis in APC out of State House of Assembly, you come in a walking glass at you, which is godfatherism. There is this trending issue of godfather, godson relationship going so. It happened in Anambra between Peter Obi and Willie Obiano, the outgoing governor.
Yes.
Peter Obi was the one that brought Willie Obiano from the Fidelity Bank, where he was an executive director, and made him governor. But after the guy's first term...
But isn't the idea of making him governor itself godfatherism?
That's what you are saying. That's the point. Then when you go outside of course, up to today, Peter Obi is in PDP, Obiano is in APGA. Then the Gombe example you cited, Danjuma Goje and Inuwa.
Yes.
It's about godfather, godson. Who made Inuwa governor? Is Goje. So now, maybe issue of control. Look at what happened in Edo between Adams Oshomole and Obaseki. Again, go to Oshun. It's all about godfather, godson. Aregbesola was the immediate past governor. Now, Oyetola is, they are now...
Let me bring Jagaban into the discussion as an insider. Some may say that the situation in Plateau State is somehow peculiar, because probably this is the 5th or 6th time a speaker has been removed in Plateau State. Virtually every administration you will have a speaker removed. In fact, even the current governor of the state was also once a speaker.
The speaker was also removed.
And
2003,
so what are there any internal politics or any peculiar issues?
I think it's just
internal to
I think it's just a matter of maybe the speaker at a particular time being trying to be over independent. Like Jide said, they removed a speaker from Ekiti State. It happened in Edo State, other places. Bottom line is, if you are trying to be independent, try to speak your mind, you incur the wrath of your boss, which is not right. Now, back to the issue of godfatherism. I made this point several fora. The last one being Gote Television, if you don't mind me mentioning another house in Yola on Wednesday. I said, I want to advise governors. I have nothing against them. I have friends among governors, many of them. But don't create a monster. You are a governor today, at best 8 years. If you make it the norm that the governor is the alpha and omega, you've created a monster. When you leave, you want to continue because you think that you brought in, you will rebel. Now, Yaya Inua was Anjuma Ogoje's finance commissioner. You can imagine how governors and their commissioners interact.
Yes.
It's like servant and master. So you can imagine how subservient Yaya must have been to Goje when he was governor. Now look at what's happening. So I want to advise all governors and anybody that wants to assume to be a godfather, you're not helping anybody. Most important, you're not helping yourself. Because in a short while, you are gone. You have created a monster that will consume you. Let me ask a question. Okay. How many godfather-godson relationship do you have in Nigeria that still subsists? Aregbesola, my friend, I have to use him again. Adeoti, my colleague, ACN chairman of Osun State, was chief of staff. He was touted to be the one to succeed Aregbesola. Last minute, this man came up and became the chief of staff and then governor. Osun State was among the states that had a parallel congress at the state.
I will be taking you on what all of these things mean to the APC as the ruling party. But you said earlier that you are pretty well informed about the situation in Plateau State. Can you speak more? Why are these things happening in Plateau State? You know, like we said, 5-6 cases.
Okay.
Is there any peculiar things about Plateau?
You see,
and in this specific instance as well?
Plateau State Speaker, the one that was impeached, was at the forefront of fighting for the financial autonomy of State House of Assembly. I stated Abok Ayuba. I have interacted with him. I've built capacities across many state houses of assembly, and I know what I've heard from some of the members. The issue with Ayuba was he stood up to protect the integrity of the assembly, not just in Plateau, but championing that the relevant constitutional amendment should be respected and that there should be financial autonomy for not only Plateau State as of Assembly, but the observance of Executive Order 10 and the constitutional amendment. Now, at some point, it was being cautioned that, look, you are embarrassing your governor, given the fact that he's the chairman of Northern Governors Forum. Now, when you are too outspoken, as if you are the only speaker, you are cutting the wrath of your governor. So that impeachment has been in the works. But he survived this long because at the end of the day, they use different methods, the speakers' conference, to get the commitment, sign an MOU some time ago, around July, August. So the governors acceded. And of course, today, we have the Plateau State House of Assembly as one of the states where financial autonomy has been granted. But what I learned,
the governor himself is willing to grant autonomy?
What I learned, that after that financial autonomy, the governor has been wanting to come and present the budget, but the assembly has been shut down since August. And they have pressured the speaker to reconvene to no avail. What I also learned about the Plateau imbroglio was the audacity of the former speaker to issue a statement on the Plateau killings that happened very recently.
Most of the stories around
exactly
on that issue.
On that issue of
the speaker is in tandem with other interests within the state, and playing opposition politics against his own governor. So how true is that?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. There were killings in Plateau. You read about it some couple of months back, and even some of those who killed were brought to the State House of Assembly. And were also taken to the governor's office, unfortunately. And as the as a leader of an arm of government, he possibly they passed a resolution and then asking the governor to act, giving him a timeline within which they want to see certain things. Maybe some bills that have been passed that will enhance security should be assented to and all of that. So like Jagaban said, when you are trying to be assertive and be seen, quote and unquote, to be embarrassing your governor in the eye of the, because the assumption is that maybe he emerged speaker by the grace of the governor. Recall that even if it's by senatorial district, you are not the only elected member from that district.
There will be many.
There will be many. So if you are the preferred choice, it is best for you to behold to the governor who helped you into office. So this issue of financial autonomy, that frosty relations has been from there, then the Plateau killings, then the shutdown of the assembly, the refusal to reopen, and then the fact that the governor could not present the 2022 budget. So invariably, I think his cup became full.
Jagaban, you know, I like that language.
Exactly.
His cup became full. But should impeachment be the way out? Aren't there other ways in which politicians, particularly those belonging to the same party, you know, and who nominally at least are supposed to be implementing the same party agenda, should there not be other ways of resolving internal crisis between them?
Thank you very much.
Someone who is going for party politics.
Now, Suleiman, some of this information I have them.
Yes.
But like I told you, I don't want to divulge because it looks as if I'm trying to criticize.
But our viewers will be interested in hearing.
I'm going. Just calm down, calm down. But with what Jide said now, that gives me the impetus, the platform to answer your question. Okay. I think the speaker displays some degree of immaturity because some of these things are, like the Bible says, everything is necessary, but not everything is expedient. Making that statement must have been playing to the gallery, and it will cause more tension. So at times, you should have just kept quiet. Tell the governor in private that, look, I know ABCD. It should have been handled. When you come out and criticize your government, your governor in public, along that sensitive line, which is very, very sensitive. Now, I want to go, I love Jos. I like drive myself to Jos. Now, that has led to so much insecurity, people cannot go. So the speaker should have been more circumspect with that kind of statement. Having said that, I don't justify the removal because two wrongs don't make a right. But like I said again, I don't want to say too much in public. God willing, when this convention is held, I believe we'll start seeing things different because you don't think that you want to help somebody and then you think that he'll be betraying to you forever. No, it will change. So stand for the truth, stand for the people,
we have to
stand
go
for
on
a
break
better
now.
Nigeria.
We have to go on break now. When we come back, we'll be looking at the legality of the removal itself. Because it is, and the constitutionality of it. It is one thing for people to gather and act. It is another for that action to be fair and just under the law. So we'll be looking at that. And then, of course, we'll be talking about the issues in Gombe. Thank you for staying with us. We'll be taking a break for a minute. When we come back, we'll continue with these issues. Stay tuned. Welcome back. If you are just joining us, this is Daily Politics on Trust TV. And today we're discussing the internal crisis in the APC across the states. You can also follow us on social media via many of our discussion platforms, YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. But the legality of the removal, because like you said, for example, and maybe that question is more for a non-politician, isn't it? You know, so the legality of this act that allegedly, because no one was there, people, you know, much of the news reports have not been able to go to the depths of the issue, but allegedly it was said that only 8 out of the 24 members, that's just 1/3 of the members. How constitutional is that? How legal is that? If it is true.
You know, it's illegal. I don't have to be a lawyer to know that when the constitution says to remove a speaker, you must have 2/3. And 8 can never be 2/3 of 24.
That's simple.
But you see, issue around
But what if
impeachment.
it isn't true? What if that allegation is
No,
just out there?
nobody has been able to prove otherwise.
Okay.
Because at some point,
Or prove that it is true.
first you ask, why is that the normal sitting of the House?
Okay.
6 a.m. Why if you want to do a thorough job, you invite the media. You said you have the numbers. Let everybody answer their father's name. You have 16 names.
Maybe it was an emergency sitting.
No, even if it were to be an emergency sitting,
Yes.
let the clerk be present, let the maids be there, and reel out names. People will start. I mean, in the case of Imo,
Yes.
that contention was not there, that they didn't have the number. They did have the number. But in the case of Ayuba, in the case of Noah Ayuba in Plateau, they obviously don't have the number. And Ayuba may be playing the card, believing that since he has majority on his side, he cannot be removed. It is not always so. Because one thing you need to know, Suleiman, is that impeachment is a political move. It's not a legal move. It may have legal coloration, but it's primarily motivated by politics. It's like when Simon Achuba, the deputy governor of Kogi State, was removed.
Yes.
Even the committee that was set up by the chief judge, they returned no guilty verdict on Simon Achuba. That they didn't see, the senior advocate that headed that committee said, they did not see justification for the guy. The person said, I have documents to indict the governor of misappropriation. You did not call him to say, come and substantiate your claim. You just said you have embarrassed the governor and you are playing anti-party and you are impeached. Even when the committee that was set up said they don't have any evidence to the contrary that the man engaged in any act or breach of constitution. But you see, the latitude that the constitution has also given is when it says you can be removed for misconduct. Gross misconduct, it says. What constitutes gross misconduct? The explanation is not there. So you can frame up anybody under the guise that the person has committed gross misconduct. So
Without defining
exactly what gross and when they found it convenient, they say he misappropriated money.
So
how does he misappropriate money? The clerk of the house is the chief accounting officer. It's not even the speaker. Is the clerk of the assembly
is responsible for the assembly's finances.
The finances. Okay. So of course he gets the approval from the speaker.
Yes.
So, but when you say the speaker misappropriated, or they say it didn't carry us along, what does carry me along? What has it got to do?
I'm sure politicians know exactly what that means. So what does carry us along
I don't
mean?
know. But let me just come here by saying that
Yes.
I can imagine President Boy right now feeling very edgy, wanting to interfere. But if he does, they will say he's interfering in the other arm of government, which is something I want to praise the president for. But recollect that the vice president was in Jos last week, and I'm sure something will be done. Because one thing I can confirm about President Buhari leadership is that he tries to make sure he does things according to the constitution. What am I saying?
But
what am I saying? Just a minute. They're talking about impeachment in Anambra State sometime last month. Sorry, declaring a state of emergency. That does not connote that you remove an elected democratic structure. It was done in the past. And I was all over the radio saying that it was wrong. You don't remove an elected democratic structure because of state of emergency.
But going by what you are saying,
Yeah.
there are many state chapters alleging that it is
right.
in fact the national part, the national committee of the party. Particularly, in fact, some states like Kwara, for example, like Kano, for example, many states are even litigating against the caretaker committee, that it is the national arm of the party that is even interfering with events at the local level. What do you say to that?
President Buhari at the national level?
Not necessarily President Buhari, but there is a party structure
Now,
separate from
individuals
the president,
can
but also in fact with the
Hold
president.
on. Party issues are different.
Okay.
Party issues, the national executive is in control. They do things. Now, as the head of the executive arm, the president is different. Now, party administration and then the three arms of government, executive, judiciary, legislature, they are different. Now, if the party tries to intervene to solve problems, like I told you earlier, when I become national chairman by God's grace, all the crises we have in these states will be resolved. I made a statement, some other media, let me say it here.
But don't you think other people would say that the national ESCO of the party are trying to impose?
If you are doing,
because in some places we've seen it in the country where the party will send a list
Can I land?
Please land.
Can I land? If we do the right things and people want to criticize you, let it be that posterity will judge you right. If, for example, you call my asking for states to resolve their problems is imposition, then too bad, because I want to have peace in the party. And if one arm of one state has a problem, it's like they say the chain. The chain is as strong as its weakest links. Now, APC is weak in so many states. The chain is no longer strong. If the party now will say, okay, let me intervene in this state to solve it, nobody should complain. If they do, don't be surprised. Are you doing the right thing? Fine. Now, back to Plateau State and other states. The president wants to intervene, but he cannot come out openly to impose, because it will be like interfering, a national president of the country, intervening in the state. I'm sure he will be reaching out to them quietly to make sure they do the right thing. And I assure you that within a short time, the right thing will be done.
I would call that a campaign speech. But let's say that Gombe State, you're just neighboring from Adamawa State.
Yeah.
Why is it you keep having this issue, recurring problem, with when the former governor of the state, the former attorney general, Dan Kwambo, right? When he was there, these issues were there. The Accountant General of the Federation, these issues were there. When the late Governor Abu Hashidu, right?
Hashidu.
These issues were there. Why does this issue of power play between a sitting governor and maybe former governors or other people within the state? Why does that keep happening?
Incidentally, I have a history of what happened there. It boils down to godfatherism. Because I remember Nanji Magoji was Minister of State for Power, I think 1999 to 2003. And then 2003, elections were held in Gombe. And somebody interfered from Adamawa State and got Nanji Magoji to become the governor. And then I remember in 2007, when Atiku was our candidate, I think Gombe State was the only state who didn't have a rally because he refused. The relationship had broken down. Now, sadly,
you said somebody. Who was that somebody?
Atiku Abubakar.
Okay.
Yes. Atiku Abubakar was one that went from Yola to Gombe, and General Abubakar, the REC, the National Electoral Commissioner in Gombe. Things happened, and Anjuma became the governor.
And you against Hashidu, that there was rigging? Is that what you're saying?
I don't know. You can't put words in my mouth.
Okay.
Abubakar Hashidu was one that lost. Okay. Then, surprisingly, by 2007, Hashidu had come back to AC then, and Goji had gone the other way. So basically, let me borrow Fayoshe's language, stomach infrastructure.
Okay.
We have descended to stomach infrastructure as an ideology instead of having an ideology of progressives or otherwise. We have to do that. If not, we'll continue having this problem. Having said that, all this happening now is because of the caliber, the quality of people that are in positions of power, elective office. They were put in there by people. They didn't have the capacity. We do respect all of them. We do respect. But Nigeria deserves better than we're getting right now. Much, much better. And I am aware of so many things. And I've been quietly making assurances that when I get there by God's grace, I'll call an appeal. Look, do the right thing. I was chairman of the Congress
maybe before you get there, let me bring our second guest into the discussion. Mr. Jidore, he raised an important issue, particularly about ideology. You hear about ideology all the time. Everyone is saying ideology, the parties like ideology. To the common man, the average Nigerian, what would ideology mean to him? How would he understand ideology?
See, every political party registered with INEC has a motto and ideology that it professes, which is extracted from Chapter 2 of the Constitution. So you are supposed to live and work and believe in the ideology of your party. When you say APC, All Progressives Congress, it is presumed that people in that party are progressives. And that's why they call themselves Progressive Governors Forum. You see? PGF, Progressive Governors Forum. The other party is People's Democratic Party. It's also about people. Democratic Party. This, I mean, I'm espousing that even from the names a party gets, you can infer what the ideology is. But even in the constitution of the party, it's clearly written, this is what we believe. It's a welfareist party, it's a capitalist party, it's a socialist party, or whatever. Look at SDP, Socialist Democratic Party. That is so they believe in socialism. So it's not more about, you raise the issue of ideology. Ask Jagaban.
I will.
How many APC members have the constitution of the party? Beyond the membership card they get when they register. Did they buy? Do they have manifesto of the party? So when you don't have something, how do you believe in it? Is the party itself organizing and conducting inductions for their elective members, not the one they leave to the presidency or to the National Institute for Legislation. At the party level, a party should, after election, those who have won election on the basis or on the platform of your party, you are supposed to have an induction for them. At that induction, if they don't have the party constitution, give them a copy of the party. If they don't have the manifesto of the party, give them a copy of the manifesto. Or ask them to buy. Force them to buy. And then train them, induct them, 2-3 days induction. This is what you have been elected to go and do on behalf of this party.
Exactly.
But that doesn't happen. Parties don't even assist in voter education. They believe it's INEC's responsibility. They believe it's civil society's responsibility. They believe it's media's responsibility. But who is the primary beneficiary? It's them. So I think that's where we got it wrong. There is no party in Nigeria that doesn't have ideology. It's a fallacy when they say this party lacks ideology. They do not lack. It is written in black and white in the constitution of the party. They have manifesto. But what you see, the linkage, wait, let me learn, Suleiman.
Please learn.
The linkage is that even after sponsoring a candidate, don't forget, in the eye of the law, every ballot paper cast is cast for the party, not for you as an individual contestant. That has been proven in court of law up to Supreme Court.
Which is why some candidates can take, for example, Yabelo in Kogi State, for example.
Exactly, he inherited the votes of
the late governor.
Prince Abubakar.
Yes.
So it has happened. Even the case of classical, locus classical, the case of Amechi in Rivers, that we had the Supreme Court said, look, all the votes cast for PDP belongs to the candidate. They belongs to the party. So when the court removed Celestin Omia, they put Amechi because it is the party you vote for. Now the party that sponsors you, the reason why we're having all this crisis, part of it, not the entire truth, is that this same party, you do not use the party office as your campaign office. They go and open a campaign office separate from the party. And in doing that, they run their own show, independent of the party. They hire their DG, they do all manner of finances. But don't forget, Suleiman, don't forget, it is the party that will even submit campaign finance reports to INEC. The party that is not even aware of how you spent the money on your campaigns. So many things are wrong.
with our electoral system.
All these issues that he has outlined, and in many places where political parties have structures where they form opposition or governments, these things are standard. Why are they not happening in our context, particularly in the ruling PDP, APC in Nigeria today?
Okay, let me just answer you. Somebody would think that Jide has seen
your manifesto.
Not manifesto, I just call it 5 points. My roadmap. Okay. Somebody would think he has seen it. These are things that I mentioned there. The party must claim its true position. The party will make promises, and the party must be aware of those promises and make sure the promises are kept to the later. I wish I knew that I brought my roadmap.
No, it's a discussion, general discussion.
These are things. These are things that I am aware of, and I think we need to go back there, because I remember in 2013, I think there was a workshop we had in Apple, and Governor Masari was there. I was meant to present the paper on autonomy of the party, and I made a statement that, look, we do respect everybody. The party is, like it's pointed out, the party is the one that is recognized by the Constitution. When you vote for the party, not for the individual. In which case, the leader of the party should be the party chairman. At the state, world, local government, or at the national level, with due respect. Look at what happened to Oshiomhole. His ward chairman removed him. He said, who is he? Who knows him? I'm in Abuja. No, with due respect. My first declaration was in my ward, Godaba ward in Jamaica, to the ward chairman. The party should be recognized and given its true position. So all this I'm talking about, I wouldn't want to say anything else except that we need to make a change in this whole setup. We have to change, because if we continue doing the same thing over and over, and we expect different results, we'll be backing up the wrong tree. We must change our thinking, we must change our actions, we must change the mindset, we must start thinking, I say this word again, outside the box. Change your narratives and think outside the box for us to get this right. President Buhari means well. He doesn't want to intervene in anything. But the party must assume its true position and take full control and make sure that APC, All Progressives Congress, we're a progressive party. And some people that just think they can just jump ship should not be encouraged. With due respect, sir. I tell my friends, Awal Bamanga, for example, Tayo Jekede is my good friend. Tayo Jekede, he served in Yola 83-84. He's a candidate of the PDP, in those states. Nothing. I said, stay in PDP. Don't be convinced to come to APC. Awal Bamanga, stay, don't come. Let's start building a parties where you have people that are ideologically inclined to the party and remain there, not jumping ship in stomach infrastructure. It's not allowed. It's not right.
So let's go beyond the individual parties a little, particularly with you, Mr. Jide. What happens? You talk about beautiful things and things that everyone would expect to be there in any political party in Nigeria. These issues you mentioned, but how can they come about in Nigeria, given the role that money particularly plays in our politics?
Yes, it's going to be difficult. It's going to be very challenging. But let me also point us in one direction. The crisis that is engulfing the two dominant parties in Nigeria is based on certain provisions in their own constitution, which I feel is antithetical to democracy. In about 27 state chapters of APC, there are either parallel congresses or internal strife. What has caused this? It is the blowout of what caused it that you have seen with the recently passed Electoral Bill 2021, where the National Assembly has insisted that there will only be direct primaries.
Yes.
Did you hear former Governor Adamu Alero on why they insisted? It is because already the governors of the state has privatized the party.
Yes.
From what to local government to state, it is the loyalist of the incumbent governor. If it's a state where you don't have governor, it is the most high-ranking political office holder, maybe a senator, maybe a former governor who is now a senator, or somebody who is a gatekeeper within the party. They said there is a provision for them to use consensus. Number one, where consensus fails, you go for election. But as that happened across board, even in Lagos, people buy form to expression of interest form. I don't know for how much, but they paid. But when they have paid, which is non-refundable, you now say you are going for consensus. And they said, look, we do not agree with this consensus. You are more educated than me, Sulaiman. What is the meaning of consensus? That you have all agreed. Unanimous. But where there is a dissension by a group, not just an individual, a group within the party says, no, we do not agree with what you are pushing, this agenda you are pushing. Let's go for election. They say, no, we have already decided. Who has decided? The governor's camp has decided that these are the people that will manage the affairs of the party at the ward, at the local government, at the state. Now, the National Assembly members knew. Don't forget, a governor's maximum tenure is 2 terms.
Yes,
exactly.
He will leave. But somebody can be in the National Assembly for 100 years if God spares his life and his people returns him.
Yeah.
But for him to get a return ticket, he has to be nominated by the party. So if the loyalists of the governors are the ones that are already positioned and you are falling out of favor with your governor, is there any likelihood that you will be giving the party ticket? Difficult. So that is what you see playing out. So, and what that says is that when you privatize political party, I dare say, with all sense of responsibility, many of our governors have not helped matters. There is something called constitutionalism. What is constitutionalism? Supremacy of the law. The constitution, observing the due process, rule of law. That is what is not in many of our parties. It's not APC, it's not PDP. Even small fringe parties, small parties are having the same issue of, domination, of marginalization, of imposition.
Yes.
And when you do that, you create rancor within the ranks and file of your members. So, yes, money politics. The reason why National Assembly members are pushing, they know that what uppraise prior to now with indirect primary is commercialization of the nomination process. Okay. So, in a state, maybe there will be 500 delegates that will vote for a governor. Among those delegates are ward executive, local government executive, and state executive members. Now, if they are already a loyalist to the governor, and he has already called, even if he's not physically present, this is my candidate for the national chairman, you will just see all of them lining up, whether it's Eagle Square or Jos or Lagos, they will just line up and you will be shocked. So you see, lack of internal party democracy is also at the heart of why there are crises in all, if not in most, if not all our political parties. If only we can follow due process, rule of law, believe in constitutionalism, this problem, if at all it will manifest, it will be minimal.
Okay. Thank you very much for that. So maybe we will give the last say to you as we're just about running out of time. So we're heading towards 2023 elections. Your party, the ruling party, is having a convention next month. And don't also remember that you have already started losing elections. For example, the APC lost the Anambra state. A number of elections just concluded. So we don't know. Is it this kind of because this internal crisis now are more prevalent in the APC now than the PDP? Maybe because it is the party in power now.
That's the question. Your answer is because it's the party in power.
So how would this affect the fortunes of the party as we move towards 2020?
You are loading me too much.
Yes.
I had you.
Thank you.
Now, It's because we're the ruling party. But let me tell you one thing, that APC has been able to resolve its problems.
Okay.
Personally, I'm not happy with what has been happening. Personally, because I know what it has cost me. For 17 months, I've been on this trail.
Okay.
Social media, regular media, consultations, campaigns, posters, name them. June 2020 I started. And they kept shifting the date.
Do you think it will cost the party the election?
Okay, wait. Okay. You are evaluating me because I've had you.
Okay.
Now, you talked about losing Anambra. In the past, the story would have been that you can't embarrass the president. The PDP would have just given from anywhere, magically, 50,000 votes, 100,000 votes to themselves. And we told you to go to the tribunal to win your case. We saw it in the past. President Buhari refused to intervene. Having said that, the people have seen, but I don't want the APC to get carried away that the people are going to follow them. People are not happy. We must ensure that we give them cause to trust and believe us. We must ensure that. Because what you're implying is that, okay, do we have any hope of winning? I don't know, but I know that we stand a good chance because the president has done a lot for this country. A lot. And when push becomes shove, we have the right leadership at the top of the APC. These things will come to play because, for example, resolution of all the problems must be done. We just have to do it. Having a situation where you go for Congress, having parallel Congress, will not be allowed because they can be solved. Like you pointed out, this issue of direct or indirect, people are just, and I don't understand. Really, I don't want to say too much because it will divulge my secret. It will make it look as if I'm fighting against my colleagues who are in
and you have a campaign
now.
coming.
Yes,
so maybe
but I assure you that
here.
Things will be different.
What he has said, he said that President Buhari has done a lot for this country. That is a question to which an independent voice must give an answer. Do you think so? In 30 seconds.
Yeah, I mean, it's right to the point that the president is not a meddlesome interlopers. Under his watch, the party has won and the party has lost. And we know the president not to be the one to give directive that my party must win at all costs. So he has congratulated both the winner, even where his party has lost. And that's very, that is the standard for
10 more seconds.
For a statesman. But I think the president also needs to do more, even if it's to use back channel. The way he did ahead of last convention, where even the party leader then wanted to extend the tenure of the former National Working Committee.
Yes.
The president stood this down and said election must hold. And that is what he needs to do. Talk to the current leadership, interim leadership, to say go and resolve those crises in the states where there are crises. And then let's have a peaceful, one united house ahead of the convention. He's the leader of the party, so you could also give that kind of directive and it will be obeyed because he's somebody who has earned the respect of his party members.
Thank you very much, gentlemen, for coming on the show. We truly appreciate you here, and I'm sure a lot of our readers also appreciate all your ideas today. This is where we come to the end of the show for today. Thank you for staying with us, and do join us again same time tomorrow. I am your regular host, Suleiman. Enjoy the rest of your day.